you're meeting with somebody and you start the conversation, the first thing that you need to do when you get with them is you're just breaking the ice, right? Type break the ice in the chat. You're having a 3 to 5 minute conversation with them about themselves. What do they do for fun? What do they do for work? And I use the acronym somebody and I use the acronym FORM. So it's FORM. And I literally write this down on my page legitimately every single day. That or every single appointment that I have, I jump on and I write down FORM on my sheet of paper. And then I walk through those questions. So, hey, tell me a little bit about your family. Are you married? Kids? What do you do for work? Right. So, family, occupation, and recreation. What do you guys do for fun? What are you guys into? What are some things that you guys enjoy? And then after that, I ask about like, why are we here? What are we doing here? What's the goal? Right. And so I'm going through those 4 things, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time with them rather than just like ripping through those questions real fast like I just did with you guys. But it's, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for work? What do you do for fun? Tell me about your family. Like, what's your spouse do? What's your husband, wife do for work? Do they like it? Do you like that they work? Like, what do you guys do for fun? What stops you from doing more of those things? Right. And I'm just I'm digging through those people. I'm digging through the questions and trying to get people to give me some info about what it is that they do and get to know them a little bit. Engage. I'm looking for common ground in the conversation. Right. I'm looking for a place that I can say, oh, you have kids, I have kids. Oh, you played football, I played football. Like, cool, there's our common ground, right? And then I just kind of relate to them. And then after that, I transition into the recruiting questions, okay, which we're going to go over in just a second. The recruiting questions, Mom, stop. I can't handle you laughing at Axel right now. So the recruiting questions that I ask, the first thing I say is, I have some questions for you. I'm sure you're going to have some questions for me. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? So y'all should write that down, especially those of you that are like right there getting ready to start recruiting people. You need to know that. Hey, I have some questions for you. I'm sure you're going to have some questions for me. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? And then they're going to always, I've never had somebody say no. And so after that, the next thing is, okay, awesome. And if at any point during this conversation, you feel like this isn't a good fit for you, would you let me know? And then wait for them to say yes. And then I would say, okay, awesome. And I say on the flip side of that, if at any point during the conversation, I feel like this might not be a great fit for you, I'll let you know as well. Is that fair? And then they will say yes. They never say no there. And so with those 2 questions, what you're doing is you're giving them control and then you're taking it back. You're giving them control and then you're taking it back both times. And the reason for that is not just to give them control and take it back, but like you want them to know, like, hey, look, like just because we're here doesn't mean that we're gonna like work with you. I've literally ended Zoom calls because people won't get off, they won't stop walking around their house, or they're smoking a cigarette in the middle of a call, like things like that. I'm like, hey, look, this isn't a great fit for you. So don't be afraid to do that, guys. If you need to, and just let them know, like, hey, look, I got some questions for you. I'm sure you'll have some for me. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? Yes. Okay, great. And Sadie, if at any point during this conversation you feel like this isn't a good fit for you, would you let me know? And then they're probably going to say yes. And then I would say, awesome. And on the flip side of that, Sadie, if I feel like this isn't a good fit for you, I'll let you know. We'll both go our separate ways and save our time. Is that fair? And then they're going to say yes. And then I would say, okay, awesome. And so the first question that I have for you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not helpful at all, 10 being very helpful, how helpful would an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month be for you right now? And they're going to say very helpful. They almost never say 10. They're always like extremely helpful. Like they black out. They forget the numbers, right? So they say very helpful. I say, cool. So like a 10, right? And they're like, yeah, a 10. Sorry. And then I ask them, what would you do with that? So if you were to get $1,000, and I'll always say, hey, if I dropped $1,000 in your bank account every month right now for the next 12 months, what are you doing with that? And I'll let them tell me, because they get real excited usually about that. And they're like, oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. I'll save so much money. It would help me a lot. I wouldn't be stressed. I wouldn't be struggling, blah, 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 blah. Right. All the things that y'all probably said as well. Right. Same thing. So then, cool. So the second question Is there any reason you wouldn't be able to get started with the training and the licensing right away? Do you have anything coming up? Any vacations, surgeries, crazy things that would stop you from being able to get started? Okay. Y'all should be paying attention. This is why some of you aren't closing recruit appointments, right? I'm just gonna be honest with you because you're not asking these questions. The third question, I'm gonna go through all these again, don't worry. The third question is there anyone that you would need to check with prior to getting started? Is there anyone you need to check with prior to getting started? Apparently that spoon was now good enough, Brian. He got down and got it, so we're good now. Meltdown, crisis averted, guys. I know you were concerned. So Axel got his peanut butter. All right, and then so the fourth question is there are 3 learning tracks, all of which are fine. Pick whichever one's the best for you. But I need to figure out how much time in this question. I'm trying to figure out how much time they're able to give to the job, right? How much time are they able to put forth in effort? So I have 3 learning tracks. All of them are fine. The first one is a referral partner. As a referral partner, you're just going to get licensed. You'll send people over to whoever I'm training or myself. And if for whatever reason you run into somebody and you can't help them, you can send them over to us. We will take care of them for you. You can expect anywhere between $250 to maybe $750 a month. Nothing crazy, but you'll definitely make a little bit of extra money. Okay. Now the second option would be part-time. Part-time, we're looking at 8 to 15 hours a week. And with that 8 to 15 hours a week, you're going to be initially hanging out, smiling and nodding. And I always say you can smile and nod, right? And they always smile and nod when I ask them that. And I would say, okay, great, perfect. So with that, that's what you're going to do in the beginning. And then after you learn how to do what we do, you're going to probably be on there actually training and running appointments for people yourself. Okay. And then I told them the last one's a leadership or a full-time track. And with that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to actually jump in there. We're going to train you how to do everything. We're going to get you fully licensed, securities, insurances, all that type of stuff. Once you're out there able to fully help clients and you're fully licensed, you're doing all the things you should be doing. You should be making at least $3 to $5 grand a month at the minimum. Really beyond that, and the goal is to help you open up your own office and be a regional vice president. An average regional vice president makes 185 grand a year. Which of those 3 would be best for you? Referral partner, part-time, or full-time? And I will let them tell me whichever one is best for them. I'm not going to push them to say one thing over the other because I want them to tell me how much time they're able to give, right? So they say referral partner. I say, cool. Okay, so a few hours a week. They're like, yeah, a few hours a week is fine. Perfect. The last question, and this is the 5th question for those of you taking notes. The last question is about the licenses. It's kind of a 2-part question. First off, anything's stopping you from passing a federal and state background check, both criminal and financial. And I'll ask them about felonies, financial misdemeanors, anything like that. No. Okay, great. Any bankruptcies or anything along those lines recently that aren't resolved? And they're going to say no. I'm like, okay, perfect. The last question is about the actual licenses themselves. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pay for anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 worth of licensing for you, insurance, investments, mortgages, things like that. We're going to take care of all that stuff for you, get you all the paperwork, all the books, the classes, the courses, everything like that. What we require is a one-time refundable licensing deposit of $124. Would that $124 be an issue for you today? And then they're going to say yes or no, right? If they're going to say yes, okay, cool. Well, when would that not be an issue for you? Oh, I get paid tomorrow. Okay, great. I'm moving straight. I'm just going to keep going. Oh, I don't get paid till Friday. Okay, great. Why don't we reschedule this for Friday then? When you see what you like and you're able to make that decision, what we can do is we can just schedule you for Friday so we can get you going on everything. I'll give you a little bit more information then. We'll get you plugged into everything. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, great. And then I just reschedule it. They're like, no, that's fine. I can do the 124. Okay, perfect. And then from that point, will share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go to the blue PDF. Hang on, I got to pull it back up. Thought it was up already. But I'm going to pull up this blue 6-page presentation. Ellie and Jenna, Josh, and looks like Glitz, I believe. Fill out your docs still, please. If you have not, fill them out. So then I share my screen here. onto the blue page, and it's the September tab for the docs, not the August tab. So then I come into here and I share this, and I just walk them through this, right? My famous opening line on this is, we're with a company called Primerica. Have you ever heard of Primerica before? They say yes or no. I'll say, awesome. Well, if I were to say you like a good neighbor, what would you say? They're going to say State Farm is there. I'll say, great. So you've been brainwashed. Congrats, just like everybody else. Now you've heard of Allstate, Geico, Progressive, all these different companies, because they spend billions of dollars a year on marketing. We don't spend any money on marketing. We're a 100% referral-based business. We have clients that eventually, once you get the ball rolling here, they're coming to you, asking you for what you do. But that doesn't start like that. You got to start by talking to people and getting your name out there with what you're doing. Now we're listed on the stock market. We're a publicly traded company. We have 2.7 million investment accounts, 5.5 lives, blah, blah, blah. And I just rip down the stats list. And then I get to this point, I say, so ultimately our mission is to help families earn more income, become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent. Do any of those things sound like something that would be beneficial to you or anybody that you know? And they say, yes. I'm like, okay, awesome. So what we're going to do is teach you how to do those, and then teach you how to teach other people how to do that as well. And how we do this is we use a process called The Real How Money Works. And I usually type therealhowmoneyworks.com in the Zoom chat so they can grab the ebook as well. And I tell them there's an ebook on that website. Go get it. Check it out, read it. It's awesome. It's going to give you a ton of information. But ultimately, we provide a financial needs analysis, which is the process that walks people through getting from point A to point B. And I always ask them this: when you get paid, does your money come with an instruction manual, or do you just like get paid and hope for the best? Like, oh, well, I just get paid and hope for the best. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, why don't we do this then? What we do is we teach people how to do this, and you ultimately want to work with us. So how soon do you want to start making an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month? They say right now. I'm like, okay, great. What we're going to do is we're going to fill out the application. We'll get you into licensing. Does that sound good? Sounds good. Awesome. And then I go right into the IBA. I go to primericaonline.com, Turbo Apps, and I start filling out the IBA. And then I have them go through the process, which we talked about with all the field trainers yesterday. Guys, that is it. That is every recruit appointment I do is within, I would say, 80 to 90% of that. There's a little bit of variance for each person, but I've also been doing this for 2 years, and I can kind of tell when I need to make a slight adjustment. You haven't been. Stick to that script, walk through it, go through everything. What questions do you all have about that process? If anything at all, anyone? No. All right, sweet.
Do you not go through the other parts below that part there with like the rule of 72 and stuff?
Almost never. If they're like a very so the color personalities, right? If they're a green brain or if they're a structured brain, I'll spend a little bit of time there if I need to. But almost nobody is like that. Like there's about, I think it's like 12 or 13% of all people are that way. They are green brain, they're structured brain people. And so for someone that is not a structured brain person, they're going to forget a very large percentage of that. Anyway, so I'm not going to sit there and tell them all the crap that they're going to forget. They're going to learn it anyway. And one of the things I do, Chris, to kind of mitigate that question of like, well, what do you do? I'm like, well, this is, I will explain everything on the blue page. We just help people with their money. We teach them about finances and stuff like that. And I'll say, you're going to learn all of that during the training process anyway. I can give you more information if you want to, but ultimately you got to get licensed to get paid. So why don't I get you into licensing, and then we'll start training you on all that other stuff. Does that sound good? And they say, yeah, that's fine. Most people will say yes. And they're like, well, I want more information. I'll be like, okay, cool. What do you want to know? Well, what am I going to be doing? And then I'll show them debt stacking. I'll show them rule of 72, and I'll show them the life insurance stuff. But I'm telling you, like, that's maybe twice a week that I have to go that far. And I'm running like 50 appointments a week at least. So like, it's very rare that I have to go that far into the presentation. I usually start an IBA, I usually start the appointment and into an IBA, like, I don't know, 12 to 15 minutes, maybe into that appointment. I mean, like people that I'm training, like Ed, Kim, Robin, Harley, like how long have those appointments been? Like 15 minutes. I mean, not the whole thing takes a little bit longer than that because you got to get them into the paperwork and stuff, but 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe. And shorter than that, if they're like ready to go right away, then you're right into it. It's 5 minutes. I mean, I've been into an IBA in less than 5 minutes multiple times. So don't get in your own way. Don't think you got to oversell somebody, right? And I don't like using necessarily the word sell, because you're not trying to sell them into doing this. If they don't want to do it, or if they're not a good fit, like, don't push them into it. But the reality is, if you get on and somebody's like ready to go, like, don't undo the fact that they're ready to go. Just roll with it. Like, Gage, they're on, they're like, I'm ready. How much is it? It's $124. Great, let's do it. Well, wait, before you do that, I gotta walk you through everything first. Like, no, stop it. Like, just go put them into everything, and then they're gonna learn everything through the process either way. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. There's like a handful of you guys that are like right there to be able to run your own appointments, that like push out of the nest a little bit. Go try one, and if it works, it works. If you fail, then you know where you need to work on it, and you can come back, watch another one, and then see again. That's how you get independent, right? It shouldn't take you should be able to see like 3 or 4 recruit appointments maybe, and then you're good, and then you go run them. It's really simple. Like I literally, like, you ask like 10 questions and they just word vomit everything that you need, and then now you just got to get good on the back end of like handling objections, like, well, I want to think about it, or I don't have the money, or these different things. And at the end of the day, like, Kim, you heard me say this the other day. Somebody's like, well, I'm ready to start right away. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they're like, well, I got to think about it. I'm like, well, what do you need to think about? You just told me you want to get started. It's like, well, I don't know if I want to get started. It's like, well, you just said you did. Like 15 minutes ago, you said you wanted to get started right away, and now you got to think about it. Like, what changed? And she ended up not joining with us, and that's fine. But like, you just have to be like, I'm willing to say, hey, you said this, and now you're saying it's not true. So, I don't say this to people, but either you're lying to me, or you didn't understand the question. And so I'll ask them, like, what changed? Sometimes they're like, well, I guess I didn't know you needed the money today. Sometimes people will say that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, no worries. Let's get back together Friday. I'm not going to waste my time, right? I'm not going to like sit there and beg somebody who you're not going to like shove a needle in a rock and try to pull water out. Like, it doesn't happen. Right. So like, if there's no money there, you can't pull it out. It's not possible. So anyway, I posted the blue page in the Telegram link, guys. Listen, I don't want you to just go out and like start running crap and not talk to your trainer first. Some of you have done that and you've closed stuff, and that's great. Make sure you're communicating with your trainer, and like, they understand where you're at, what you're struggling with, where you're getting yeses and nos, and the questions that you're running into. But I'm going to encourage you, if you're setting up 3 to 4 appointments a day, you should go try to run one today. Go run one and see what happens. And it might be a dumpster fire and you might feel like you're going to die, but I promise you're not going to die, and it'll probably go better than you think it will. And then go back to your trainer, kind of roll back and ask him for help, and ask him or her for help, and say, hey, this is where I feel like I messed up. What can I do differently? What could I do better? And it's just a process, guys. Like, it's something that you get better at, but you don't start the getting better process until you start running your own appointments. Is that cool? Are we good with that? All right. I'm going to pull up the docs. Let's see. Jenna's been driving. So Jenna, I'm not going to give you too much crap for not having it filled out. But make sure tomorrow you all have the September docs filled out, okay? And all right, so let's see here. For those of you watching from the peanut gallery, the cash flow numbers, you're not going to see move at all on this one until, or the monthly cash flow, you're not going to see move at all until the end of this week, probably early next week. So let's see here. All right, so what are you closing today? That's all I want to know. What are you closing today? All right, let's see. Our docs as a whole are down by either 100 or y'all don't know how to fill them out. It's one of those two, and hopefully you don't know how to fill them out. So all right, today I have 10 recruits and 1 KT. Brian, 19. What you got?
I got 7 recruits with the one that I got for you at noon.
You got 7 with the one that you're doing at noon for me, you said?
Yeah.
Awesome. Josh, 37. I went way out of order there. My bad, guys. 37, Josh.
9 recruit appointments.
Was that 9?
9. Yep, 9 today.
Awesome. Karen, 21.
I'm gonna be like Josh. I have 9 also.
All right.
So,
KJ, 21.
I have 4 recruits, 1 carryback, and yeah, I'll be hopping on a investment account with Cassandra as well.
Nice. Awesome. Blitz, 18.
I have 5 recruits today.
Nice. Cassie, 15.
I have 3 recruits, 2 KTs, and a carryback.
All right. Everybody else down in the gray trying to struggle to get their appointments and activity up. Angie, 13. What's up? What you got today?
I have 3 recruit appointments and a life insurance app that we're gonna go do, and I'm scheduling my SIE.
Nice. Let's go. Great job. And I know you took a long weekend. It's probably why your docs are a little bit lower today. So like you got to be like a maniac tomorrow because your team's up on here watching you and they're going to see, hey, you're at 13 today. What are you going to do tomorrow? I know you're running a lot of appointments, but you got to settle out today to get out of the gray. Okay. And a little bit of coaching for everybody. I'm not picking on you, Angie, but like it might sound like it, but I'm not on purpose. When you know you have a vacation coming up, when you know you have a thing that's going to pull you out of the field for a few days, or you might get pulled out of the field, like you got to load up before and after that, like before you leave. So you come back to activity, because otherwise, like Angie, what you'll probably experience for the next maybe week or so, maybe 3-4 days at least, is like, oh my gosh, like I lost all my momentum. And it's not that the momentum's not there, it's just that you got to kind of keep it going. And if you can keep your, because it's a rolling 7, right? It's a rolling 7. And yeah, it's like Taylor's saying, a sled push. Like it's harder to get the number to move again than it is to just keep and maintain the number. And so because it's a rolling 7, you weren't on vacation for 7 days. So you could front load it and then start back loading it as well. So when you come back, you at least stay higher than where you're at right now. So learning experience, great job. Get up out of the gray this week, or get up out of the gray today. Let's see, John, 9.
I have 3 carrybacks and 1 KT today.
Nice. Good job. Jenna, I think you're actively filling it out. I'm going to guess you're more than 8. So what do you got this week or today? Sorry. What do you have today? She's driving as well, I think. Brad, 8. Where is Brad? Was sitting on the couch 5 seconds ago. I don't think he's on Zoom because he's here. And L, 5.
I have 3 recruit appointments today.
All right. Awesome, guys. Hey, have a great day. We have training tonight at 7 o'clock. Remember, talk to your teams about how to change their little emojis, their names and stuff like that. Get them whatever they need to get that stuff so that way they're good to go. Y'all have a great day. I'll talk